Welcome to Học Tiếng Anh với Joseph, where we build vocabulary and practice pronunciation through reading. Continuing with The Cat in the Box, A History of Science in 100 Experiments, we will read story number 56, Enter the X-ray. The close link between experimental science and technology is particularly powerfully demonstrated by the development of physics at the end of the 19th century. One key piece of technology, the vacuum or Crookes tube, produced a revolution in the understanding of the world of the very small and led to the birth of atomic physics. In 1894, Philipp Lenard, working in Germany and following up experiments carried out by Heinrich Hertz, studied the way cathode rays could pass through a thin sheet of metal foil inside a vacuum tube. Because the rays passed through the metal without leaving any detectable holes, he thought that they must be waves, not particles. This idea would soon be proved wrong, but in a separate development, Wilhelm Röntgen, the professor of physics at the University of Würzburg, decided to follow up Lenard's work to find out if the cathode rays could penetrate the glass of the Crookes tube itself. Röntgen, an established scientist with a reputation as a skilled experimenter but still open to new ideas, was already 50 years old when he carried out his key experiment in November 1895. Đây là phòng thí nghiệm của ông ta, his lab. To see if cathode rays were passing through the glass of the tube and out into the laboratory, Röntgen set his apparatus up in a darkened room and covered the entire tube with a thin layer of black cardboard to stop any light from the glow inside escaping. He wanted to be sure his eyes were adapted to the dark and could pick up any flashes from the simple cathode ray detector he had prepared. It was already known that a sheet of paper painted with barium platinocyanide would fluoresce when struck by cathode rays. So Röntgen set up such a screen in the dark lab to look out for the fluorescence. After carrying out some initial tests, Röntgen decided to repeat the experiment using a vacuum tube with a thicker glass wall. On November 8, 1895, after he had set up a new tube and covered it with black cardboard, he put the barium platinocyanide screen to one side while he turned the vacuum tube on and the lab lights off, simply to make certain no light was escaping from the tube. To his surprise, he saw a faint, shimmering light from the screen, which was several feet away from the tube and off to one side, not in the line of fire of the cathode rays. Something else, something previously unknown, was making the screen glow when the tube was turned on. Over the next few weeks, Röntgen made a careful study of what he called X-rays. X is traditionally the unknown quantity. In some countries, they became known to his embarrassment as Röntgen's rays. He found that They were produced where the cathode rays hit the glass wall of the Crookes tube and spread out in all directions. They travel in straight lines and were not deflected by electric or magnetic fields. But the most dramatic discovery was that they would penetrate many materials, including human flesh. Just 2 weeks after the discovery of X-rays, Röntgen used them to make the first X-ray photograph. It showed the bones of his wife's fingers and wedding ring, and it was published in the scientific paper in which he announced the discovery, titled On the New Kind of Ray. It was written on December 28, 1895 and published early in 1896. The discovery was sensational news, not least because of the publication of the X-ray photograph of Anna Röntgen's hand. On seeing the image, apparently she exclaimed, "I have seen my death." On January 13, 1896, Röntgen demonstrated the phenomenon to Emperor Wilhelm II in Berlin. English translations of the paper were published in the journal Nature on January 23rd, and Science on February 14. X-rays were soon recognized as part of the electromagnetic spectrum as light, but with higher frequencies, shorter wavelengths. The medical implications of the discovery were obvious, and X-rays soon became an important diagnostic tool, enabling doctors to see inside a human body without cutting it open. Before the end of 1896, the first radiology department opened in a Glasgow hospital, where they obtained picture of a kidney stone and of a penny lodged in a child's throat. Less than 2 years after the discovery, X-rays were used for the first time in a battlefield context to find bullets and broken bones inside patients during the Balkan War of 1897. The first Nobel Prize in Physics was awarded to Röntgen in 1901 in recognition of the extraordinary services he had rendered by the discovery of the remarkable rays subsequently named after him. Vocabulary: vacuum, metal foil, detectable, detect is a verb, detectable là có thể detect, penetrate, reputation, reputation, darkened room, darkened room, adapted, adapted, fluorescence, fluorescence, faint shimmering light, faint shimmering light, previously unknown, previously unknown, tradition, traditional, embarrass, embarrassment, embarrassment, sensational news, sensational news, diagnostic tool, diagnostic tool, radiology department, radiology department, kidney stone, kidney stone, battlefield, battlefield, bullets, bullets, extraordinary services, extraordinary services, not extraordinary, just extraordinary. Rendered. Well, thank you so much for your time, and I will see you in the next story. Bye for now.